OMG, baby, tell them.
Hey there, welcome to Powered by Backers. Yet another episode. It is I, Justin Fox. I am here with a great guest again. We've had back-to-back great guests. Today I've got Kundan, Joshi. Kundan, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you,
Awesome.
Justin, for having me.
Awesome. I love that you're standing. We just had an off air. I tried to stand, but my earbuds and my whole setup didn't really work for standing. I wish I could be standing, but I love that you're standing to bring the energy. So welcome to the show. I'll just do a quick little bio here. So you are the founder and CEO of the App Lab, which is the leading app innovation firm focused on strategy, design, and development of apps and emerging technologies. The App Lab has built over 600 apps in the last 13 years through 8 global offices. Some of the clients include Unilever, Samsung, Dell, Petro-Canada, RBC. I'm not going to list them all. The App Lab received the 2019 and 2020 Top Mobile App Developer Award for Canada and the US, as well as the 2019 Top 3 AI Developer Award by Clutch. Kundan has received the 2018 RBC Entrepreneur of the Year Award for 2018, the Top 25 Canadian Immigrants Award, also the recipient of the 2018 Ernst & Young EY Entrepreneur of the Year Finalist Award, Top 150 Extraordinary Canadians Honor, 2017 Technology Achievement, I can say this all with one breath, Award from Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, 2016 Innovator of the Year Award at Transformation Awards, and Young Entrepreneur Award at South Asian Awards. Kundan is featured regularly on the tech panel of CBC News. He is an official member of Forbes Technology Council. Kundan serves as advisor on boards such as Tribeca, Centennial College, Lambton College, Peel College, and the U.S. Federal Business Acceleration Program. Kundan graduated from good old UWO, Western University, with a software engineering degree. And Kundan also serves as a partner, investor, and advisor to 52 tech startups. That might be the longest intro I've had on the show. I don't know if I could figure out where the commas went and the years started and the awards ended and which one was which. World-renowned Kundan, thank you very much for joining me here on Powered by Backers. It's great to have you.
Thanks for the introduction, Justin. Can I take you everywhere I go to make the introduction for me? I love the energy. Thank you.
There you go. But that's crazy. We're like one of the things that we're doing with backers. I'd love to maybe pick your brain, maybe off on a different call. But we are rolling out because we work with a ton of entrepreneurs who are launching campaigns to raise capital on our platform, basically by selling equity in their business, right? We're an equity crowdfunding platform. And so one of the things that we're building out right now is sort of a tech incubator, which is essentially arguably what you have built. So it's very fortuitous. We actually just launched it on September 1st. We've got a couple of companies that we're working with, concept being we have some in-house talent. There's lots of talent out there. They need that skill set to kind of take them from sort of an idea, to an MVP or full-fledged product. And, it benefits both of us in that if they've got a product, they're going to raise more money, they're going to be more successful. And that's obviously, something we're working towards. So we should definitely connect with regards to that. That's something we should be talking about. But definitely. I want to back up. Let's talk about Kundan, UWO, Western Ontario, University of Western Software. When did you go to Western, actually, just out of curiosity? I can tell your age potentially by that.
Not that I graduated 2004.
Okay, so I graduated 01, so roughly the same age. Very cool. I went to Brock, actually, but I almost went to Western, but have lots of friends that went to Western. So
awesome.
Very cool. So where are you from originally? Like prior to Western, did you live in Toronto, or where are you based originally?
So born and brought up in Mumbai, India.
Mumbai, okay.
That's where I spent the first 19 years of my life.
Before you went to UWO?
Before I went to UWA, and the next 19 years of my life have been in Canada.
In Canada, perfect, awesome. Cool. So let's go back there. So you did computer science, computer engineering at UWO Western. So walk us through what got you to be such an award-winning, app developer, and obviously running, arguably the number one app developing firm, in North America, obviously. What's sort of that process? To walk us through, 21-year-old Kundan to, 40-year-old Kundan, or 39. I'm going to guess you're about 39. We're not supposed
That's
to
right.
talk age. I'm 42, but yeah.
Good guess.
So,
That's
so you're
right.
almost
That's
40.
right.
You're
40.
almost 40. There you go.
Yeah, the big 40 birthday is coming up next year, so looking
Perfect.
forward to it.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
give us a Cole's notes of that process.
Yeah, sure. So I went to Western to do my software engineering. So the goal there was, hey, you know what? I mean, IT is a booming field. Let me get into it. I enjoy math. I didn't code before I got into Western, so I enjoy engineering as a whole. So you know what? Let's see where that takes me. So started it to be a programmer, I guess.
Right.
And during one of my summer jobs, my approach, I guess, to my career changed a bit, where I took on a sales job as a new immigrant. That was the only job that I had
Right.
the opportunity to take, but I grabbed it with both hands, and I realized that I had the skill of adding value to people, of talking to people, really convincing them towards and helping them in essence. So really enjoyed the concept of sales. That sale, because I was doing so well, my employer didn't want me to leave. So instead, I made him an offer that I'll start a branch for him in London, Ontario, and and that just started my entrepreneurial journey in a way. I had
Okay.
about 4 kiosks in various malls where I was hiring people and selling high-speed internet at that time, which was a
Okay.
novelty. And that sort of kickstarted my entrepreneurial journey. When I graduated in 2004, I started on as in jobs with Bell Canada and Ministry of Education,
Right.
working as a software engineer. But I didn't give up that dream of being an entrepreneur, because I was constantly moonlighting in the evenings, doing whatever projects, whether it's building a website or building some sort of an application or software by myself. I sort of assembled a small team to help me to do those projects. And eventually, at one point in 2007, I realized, you know what, this is I just enjoy what I do. I really enjoy solving problems using technology, creating better experiences, really innovating and helping clients scale their businesses and so on. So it's something I knew I wanted to do, something I couldn't moonlight or half-ass anymore. I really
Right.
wanted to go full into it. So I launched App Lab at that point, at a point where
So
apps
what year
were,
was that? What year was
that was
that?
2007.
2007. Okay. So quite a while ago then. Okay.
So quite 13 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
prior to iPhone, so apps were not a norm.
Right.
I had to spend 2 hours explaining my clients what an app
So what an
was.
app was. There you go. Imagine that. I'm just think, like, for all the people watching, just think of, just over 10 years ago, people couldn't grasp the concept of an app, right? I mean, I use the same analogy with the term blog, right?
Hmm.
About 15 years ago, a while, like, for whatever reason, I couldn't grasp the concept of what a blog was, right?
Hmm.
And now, I mean, it's literally like synonymous, right? But anyways, it was just sort of like one of those things.
Yeah.
I was like, a blog? What? Like, how does that work? Yeah. Anyways, that's because I'm probably a little slower than most. But anyways, that's cool. So you're starting to work with these companies, these corporations. You're bringing out. So you have the foresight to know, like, what gave you that intuition to say apps were going to be a big thing?
It was a bet, to be very honest, right? It was pretty early days for me. What I loved about technology was ability for technology to create great experiences, right? And with
Right.
web experiences, I just wasn't able to achieve that. I wasn't able to achieve that single-minded focus of taking a user or a customer from point A to point B and really solving the problem I'm trying to solve. I bumped across smartphone devices and tablets at a bunch of technology conferences I was attending at that point.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? This is the future of experiences. I hope this is the future of experiences because I really
Yeah.
love that experience. I
Right.
really love that I can create a software and achieve that. So yeah, first two clients, it was an experiment for me as well. I was like, you know what? I think the problem that you have, it'll be better solved through a tablet or through a smart device in essence. So let's try that. So and because for that use case it did make sense, I mean,
Right.
better than anything else. So we experimented and that worked really well. So in a way I was validating that bet with every project and made it realize that, hey, you know what, this is something that we need to go all in, just focus on it and see where it goes. And see, 13 years after, we built more than 600 apps for the largest companies in the world, all the way to a lot of successful startups. So not a bad
Awesome.
bet.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that obviously, I mean, it wasn't just a bet. You obviously had some background knowledge in what was happening. So
Totally.
it was a calculated risk, I think is probably a better term for it. So that's
Indeed.
awesome. So fast forward to today, you've had some tremendous success. I'm going to ask you a question that I just was sort of came to the top of my head. Where do you see the market going, the next 13 years or even, the next 5 years? Like what, apps are obviously, a norm. I think I'm going to let you speak. Where do you see the next 5 years going? What, if you could put on your prognosticator hat, where do you see the next 5 years?
Yeah. So see, the next 5 years, I mean, pandemic in a lot of ways, while with all its challenges, has forced digital transformation down the throat of a lot of
Right.
organizations, right?
Right.
So the last 5 years are going to be extreme acceleration of adoption of technology and implementation of technology, especially through apps. Because one thing that most organizations are realizing is, hey, you know what? When we create a better experience, one, you have to do that right now. You need
Right.
to have a digital entity in order to access your clients, in order to serve your clients, and so on and so forth, regardless of which industry you're in. And once you focus on your customer, on how can you really elevate their experiences, how can you transform their experiences to make their life better or solve it in a way that it's really tending to the need that they have, it's not just a pandemic play anymore. It's not just a pandemic pivot or just a short-term solution.
Right.
It becomes a long-term solution. It gives you an opportunity to really create, to impact the customer experiences in a strong way and create a massive differentiator, if not disruption, for yourself.
Right.
So that is resulting already and will result in the next 5 years in massive acceleration of apps, of automation, of the enablement.
Oh, did we lose you, Kundan? I think is it our internet? Your internet?
Of artificial
Hold on,
intelligence, of enablement of
hold on.
immersive experiences like augmented reality. Yeah, I think it's getting frozen here.
Yeah, Fro, you there?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, I think, we hear you. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you kind of froze there. So you're just talking about like technologies accelerating a little bit, right? Are you there?
And organizations are realizing that just for. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're freezing. Is it your internet or our internet?
Not sure. It's not giving me any error.
Yeah, I think ours is good. We've got 200 up, 200 down. Okay, keep going. Sorry, you were sort of acceleration part. You were talking about sort of the technologies accelerating, AI, VR, AR, all those sort of things, right? Blockchain.
Exactly.
I don't think you mentioned it, but yeah.
Blockchain as well, definitely. Blockchain as well, IoT as well.
IoT,
so all of those are coming to the fore, finding different and newer ways to solving problems, digitizing solutions, really making sure that transforming anything that's not digital into digital in essence, right? So yeah, next 5 years are going to be very interesting from that point on, for all the problems that you see haven't been solved because certain sectors have just been a bit slow or lazy to adopt that change.
They weren't forced to, right? There wasn't that like that demand, right? You talked about everyone's being sort of digital's being jammed down everyone's throat, right? It's obviously there were industries that didn't feel the need to change. Now that's being, mandatorily changed, right?
Exactly.
I like your camera going in and out. Are you controlling that with like
No,
with a button?
I have a full-time director just taking care of me. And
No, it's got to be a button, or is it the camera
no, no,
automatically senses?
it senses my movement and hence it
Oh
does
yeah,
a
interesting.
bit too rapidly than I would want. But
No, that's cool. That's really cool. I need to get all these technologies going. That's great. Yeah, so definitely an acceleration of adoption and innovation across emerging technologies. I agree with that.
And and just to add, when it comes to apps, right? I mean, there was a reason why we named our organization App Lab and not, let's say, Mobile Lab, right? Because will smartphones stay for the next 10 years? Who knows, right? I mean, the customers will be the judge of that. Consumers will be the judge of what's the
it
best
might be in your
experience.
glasses, right? You might be like, seeing through some sort of
Exactly.
contact or whatever, right?
Yeah, and
Through
especially,
sort of like
I mean,
an AR or VR type of thing.
Totally. And next year is going to be very interesting because I mean, if Apple actually goes through with Apple glasses next year,
Right.
that's going to be a pivotal shift potentially in that, or it could be some other form, right? But apps will always be there, whether in whichever format,
Right.
To solve problems, to create those solutions, to improve experiences.
Yeah, I think obviously apps is short for application, right? So the obviously applications are a sort of a the everlasting, you're gonna have an application for everything, right? So
Exactly.
it's just
But it's
where they're based, or whether it's on your phone, on your eye, on a retinal scan, or however it's done. I don't know.
exactly.
That they'll always be an application or apps. Interesting.
Totally.
Okay. So let's take a step back here. This is kind of something that we're slowly starting to do. I'd love to kind of maybe, I'd love to say something like, Tech Incubator, powered by backers in partnership with the App Lab. I don't know, just throwing it out there. I said it here first, so we can maybe make it happen. But bringing our clients through that, or through the issuers through that.
Totally.
Walk me through a process maybe of, I'm an entrepreneur. I actually was doing I've been doing daily video series, just kind of talking about the ideas and how going to an MVP and stuff like that. Just kind of maybe sparking people for technology, maybe it's finding a problem and creating a solution to that problem. Walk me through, in the bio or the intro, I talked about, the strategic sort of component and building out an MVP. Walk me through what's the process that somebody, if I'm an entrepreneur and I come to the App Lab, I have an idea, presumably, I would assume I'd have an idea for something. And I come to you and I say, hey, this is my idea. Walk me through the process, that I'm going to go through as a entrepreneur with the App Lab.
Certainly. So when we work with startups, I mean, the key focus is to make sure that we work as a technology partner that can help you not just actualize the technology bit, but the actual business and the venture of it.
Right.
If you're creating a tech startup, in essence, the technology is your venture, the venture is the technology. So they all have to go together in essence, right? I mean, our mantra is based on three different circles that come together. One is of human experience. So really, what's the problem that you're solving? Who are the users who are the customers that you are trying to help, that you're trying to create a solution for? So that comes at the center in essence. Then is obviously the business. How is your business revolved around that? What does that mean? What are the KPIs? What does success mean for your business? What does success mean for those users? And where does technology play a role, right? Technology, innovation, and so on. So how do we bring all of those three together to really make a successful technology venture that is going to withstand all the different milestones that you need to achieve in order to get there to a sustainable revenue, a product, and so on, right? So that initial process, collaboration, hand-holding. Looks like I got stuck again.
It's okay. It caught up for a second. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
It caught up. So
Okay.
so basically, you're saying it's a collaboration. You've got the three components. Then there's a collaboration between sort of you and the startup. of building that platform or the app, right? Or building
Exactly.
the technology.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
it starts with that end user, right? Really understanding, okay, exactly what's the persona associate with that user, who's your ideal customer, what does the customer look like, what are their challenges. Let's look at the customer journey map for that user, right? What are the different phases for that particular whether you are creating an Uber app that's providing a transportation solution, or you are creating a social network that's creating an entertainment solution or an engagement collaboration solution, whatever that is. So for that particular journey, what does that journey look like? What are the pain
Right.
points associated with every phase in that journey?
Right.
Let's understand that. Let's validate that through interviews, through surveys, through real data that we can quantify, qualify, in order to figure out the solution that I'm trying to create, what is the underlying problem, and understanding all the aspects around it, and then accordingly validating the solution as well, right? Once that's done, then that's sort of the core of what we are trying to create, because through that you would know, okay, exactly the solution and why that solution is there. If there's competition, why, how are you making yourself unique? How are you able to potentially scale your organization and remove the barriers, the barriers to entry and so on, in order to really make a mark to yourself, and hence create a strong business model for you, right? So creating those KPIs for your venture that are aligned with the value proposition that you're creating becomes important, and
Right.
that gets followed up by the product and the technology that we are using to create that underlying solution, right?
Right.
And that also comes with, let's put the vision around the technology as well. What does it mean? Is the form of technology we are providing today, is it going to be the same in 6 months, in 1 year? What is
Right.
that what does that product roadmap look like, so that we can sort that particular product across that time frame? And hence, how should the product be architected? How should it be built, so that you're building a long lasting product venture, in
Right.
essence, that's going to go through those milestones. So that's basically how it gets started, towards then creating design sprints to design the
Right.
product, develop the product, test the product, get it into market, continue the testing, look at the user behavior, user analytics, the data. Based on the feedback and all that data, make the decisions and create those insights, in order to then determine how do you prioritize your next phase, and then continue
Right.
that loop, the build, measure, learn loop, going on and
Right.
on and on, till you continue to improve your product, continue to get better acquisition, meet your KPIs, further your KPIs, as you start aligning them up against all the different milestones, whether it's funding milestones or revenue milestones, and so on and so forth, towards a Series A, Series B, exit, and so on.
Equity crowdfunding.
Equity crowdfunding, totally, which is
Right.
a fantastic option, totally.
Yeah. So interesting. So I don't know how to ask this question. I've got sort of a number of things that I'm sort of thinking of. We've already kind of touched on it, but obviously mobile first is sort of the key right now. You kind of said something there that made me sort of think of this. What technology you're building on is a part of the discussion as well, right? So maybe go into that a little bit. Like that just sparked a little bit of a thought. Like obviously everyone's like mobile first app, iOS, Android, whatever app, right? But like I think an interesting point that you brought up is having the discussion, what technology are you building it on today, so that it's maybe not outdated, in 6 months, but can expand upon, for arguably a 3 to 5 years. I mean, obviously the way technology is going, 3 to 5 years is a long time in technology perspective. But how do you determine that? Like, what if someone came to you and you said, hey, that can be built on blockchain, or that's Internet of Things, or that's IoT, or I think you should look AR, VR. Like what like how does that discussion unfold?
Yeah, so I mean, we are platform agnostic,
Right.
technology agnostic. So we will not recommend you a technology because hey, we have more resources that do that work, right? For
Right.
us, the goal is to see, again, start with your customers, right? Start with that user, with the user base, in terms of who they are, their demographics, what is their form of use in essence. Is this something that they will be using when they're on the go? Is this something they'll be using when they're in front of their computer at work, or is this something they'll be using on their tablet before they are sleeping? What is that form factor? Is this application something they'll be using once in few months, or is it something that you would want them to use on a daily basis, on a regular basis? Some
Right.
of those conversations first tell us, should it be a mobile app, or should it be a responsive web app, or should it be a PWA? So really understanding how they will be using the application in the short term as well as the long term
Right.
allows us to create that roadmap of, hey, you should probably start with a responsive web first. Doesn't make sense to invest in a mobile app at this stage. Or you know what, you will get best bang for buck. You will get, your main KPI is retention of customers, and if you need them to retain them, you need real estate on their phone right up there, right? So
Right.
that whenever they walk,
Homepage real estate, right? Like right.
exactly, home,
I don't know. Mine's not going to
right
show up,
there,
but yeah,
right?
right. Where is it? Right. Yeah. Right on your homepage, wherever
Right on
that
your
is. Right.
homepage, right? Or
Yeah.
those push notifications are extremely important so that you're constantly bringing them back to the app, uh,
Reminders and stuff like that.
reminders
Right.
and
Yeah.
whatnot, as opposed to a message going in their spam folder through email or whatnot. So
Right.
those kind of conversations are important to figure out exactly what platform, right? And then the underlying technology in terms of what should the backend architecture be, how scalable the solution needs to be. So should it be a lamb stack with PHP MySQL, or should it be a much more scalable stack like React and Mongo and Node and so on, right? So that is another conversation to really figure out what should be the backend technology. And then when it comes, if it's a mobile app, then for the mobile app, should it be native, or should it be hybrid? Should it be native, where we are building in Swift and Kotlin and you get a lot better experience? In a way, there's a bit more scalability because there's a lot lesser dependency on other platforms. You can sort of you can rest assured that, you know what, only if the app stores go out of business, which if though they go out of business, what's the point of building an app anyways?
Right.
Apart from that, you are pretty okay. Or go with something like React Native by Facebook, or even Flutter by Google, where it's cross-platform. You might compromise a bit on experience. You might take a bit of a risk in terms of some of the integrations may not be panning out or whatnot, slight risk on performance, but you are saving costs because it's single code base for two platforms, saving the upfront cost as well as the maintenance cost. So depending on the strategy, depending on the users, depending on the budget, on the timelines, all
Right.
of those factors we take into consideration before making a solid recommendation of, hey, this is the path that you should go for, which is not dependent on what we do best, but based on what is the right technology to serve your customers better and to serve your venture better.
Interesting. Interesting. Can you? So Jiff, you're looking at. Sorry, kids are in the background here. Trying to get them to keep it down over there. Pipe down over there, right? Anyways, they're banging on the glass here. Okay, so that's, yeah. I mean, obviously, for everyone watching, he said a lot of different things like Node.js or Java, MongoDB, like all those different things are all, and you start getting into a lot of like. So for the average person who's not a software engineer, a lot of this stuff can get a little overwhelming, right? I'm sure you run into that, right? What are and I mean, I was listening, and obviously I mean, I'll admit I have a phys ed degree and an MBA. I am not a developer or computer or software engineer in any way, shape, or form. But I have over the years, kind of delved into certain things, and I've taken some course and stuff just to try to at least keep up with the Joneses. But for the average sort of person with an idea, this is going to be sort of over their head. How do you go about sort of working with them? Like what can you do as an organization to kind of convey? I heard you say things like their vision, their their KPIs, their the UX or the experience they want their users to have, with, kind of like, the hey, you need React JS or Node.js, or using Flutter or whatever, as your backend. Like, how do you translate, might be the term, between non-tech and tech? What's sort of a skill that you guys use, or how do you guys go about doing that?
Yeah, so before I
Is that a
mentioned,
stupid question?
no, no, not at all, not at all. So before I mention how we do it, I'll say, if it's a startup and you're an entrepreneur starting a business, right? As an entrepreneur, you'll take certain risks, you'll take
Right,
certain bets, regardless, right? At the end of the day,
right,
what's key to keep it simple? The key is people, right? And people is
right,
on two. One is your customers. So really
right,
understanding your customers well, right from day one, in whichever way format, right? Just finding ways so that this is a particular type of a customer or demographic that you're trying to serve, spending time with them to get into their shoes, just to keeps it very simple, right? And the second
right,
aspect when it comes to people is the people you surround yourself with, right?
right,
Whether it's the technology experts, if that's not your strength, the marketing experts, so on and so forth. What are the kind of people, whether they're advisors or co-founders or team members, that you're surrounding yourself with,
right,
who have that understanding, and how you are creating those relationships so that you are collectively working together towards a common vision and goal, in essence, right? That becomes critical as an entrepreneur.
right,
So
right,
as a tech entrepreneur, it's best to just focus on those aspects, and the rest of the things usually take care of its own, right? But to your question, in terms of how we help, it's pretty much around the same ways, right? For us, what's important is, hey, you know what? Yeah, just because we are tech experts, we can't do what you are doing. We are not here to create that consumer app or go deep into that industry, because you probably have come up with that vision because you are more empathetic to the problem, or you have that subject matter expertise that made you realize that problem, and hence you're here to create a solution, right? So the goal is to partner together, your strength of being the subject matter expert, and our strength of being the technology expert of having built 600 apps. Let's work together with the common vision, with a common drive and goal to solve that problem, in essence, right? And
right,
for us is to make, we have to ask clients sometimes to simplify their vision, especially if they're subject matter experts in a particular domain. We need a bit of a simplification to make sure we can empathize with the end customer a lot better. We can make sure that we understand the processes with a lot more intricacy. Similarly, we make sure that when it comes to technology, we make it simple, right? We don't
right,
complicate it by making it sound like, hey, because we know technology, we are any better. We are just trying to present, hey, here are the different options. Here's what's best. Let's focus on the KPIs. What are the key metrics are the most important thing, right? It's
right,
very easy when you're building a business period, but when you're building a business and you're adding technology, which you may not be that well versed with, it's very easy to make it complicated and make it overwhelming, right? The key is to make it simple. And usually the KPIs or the success metrics, or simply put, how do you define success?
right,
Those just help you stay focused, in essence, right? Focus on a customer, try to make that customer base that you want to focus on as lean as possible, as focused as possible. Then sort of start drilling down, what does success mean to you? And then it just makes it easy to determine, okay, look at the pros and cons, and accordingly let the KPIs make a decision for what should we use in terms of web versus mobile,
right.
technology A versus technology B. And if you have a trusted partner, again, the goal is they are trusting you with the partnership, you are trusting them with the partnership. You work towards the common goal of, based on whatever you know and whatever the facts are in front of you, to make that bet and move forward. And then again, constantly be lean. That's extremely important, right? Any entrepreneur, any tech entrepreneur I talk to, I first recommend them the book, The Lean Startup,
Right.
because that's a concept that's so important, just to stay focused, stay lean. And what that means is constantly be testing, be experimenting, be validating, right? Sure, you have 10, 20 features to create. When you create feature one, are you testing it? Are you getting that feedback? Are you making
Right.
sure that you are iterating and moving fast on the go? That's
Right.
the goal, right? You can't afford to stay stagnant in technology for too long. It has to be very dynamic from that point of view.
Interesting. So to sum it all up, keep it simple, stupid, and iterate, right?
Yep.
And validate.
Yeah.
Right. I think
Totally.
those are the but validate and keep it
Totally.
simple, right? And
Totally.
focus on
And
sort
focus.
of one specific component. Interesting.
And
That's
that way, even if you make a wrong bet in a technology or whatever, you know much ahead of
right
time.
away. Yeah, you're
Right
able to
away, you
go.
know it,
Yeah,
and you change. It's okay. If you change, that's fine. You learned from it. You
right.
did an experiment. You learned early enough that you can now afford to pivot.
Right. Awesome, cool. Well, Kundan, I really appreciate you joining me here. Thank you again for being on the show. Typically, well, every show now we must be coming up on about 50 or 60 of these shows that I've been doing almost daily now for most of COVID. But I asked one last question, every single person. I've gotten lots of different answers. They're all kind of interesting, dependent on your skills and background. But if you had one word that you could say to a younger Kundan, or one piece of advice to you, a younger you, or somebody else sort of coming up, early on in their career, or starting out, what would that one word or one piece of advice be?
So one piece of advice would be embrace failure, right? That would be one piece of advice, and there are a few layers to it. To be honest, I mean, just embracing failure is not enough, because to embrace failure, you are embracing fear. You are really making sure that you are learning how to live in the moment, fully present in the now, without judgment. So there are a lot of layers to it, but simple advice will be embrace failure, because failure is what will teach you a lot more than success. So
You
do not be
learn
afraid of
from,
failure.
yeah.
You learn from your failures.
Yeah, 100%. But I love the embrace part, right? Because I think you said as the layer part, it's a lot of people fear failure. Say that 10 times fast. Um,
Yeah,
because they feel as though if they fail, that they're not going to be able to kind of get back up, and that people will it's the fear that people will look at you, in a negative context for your
exactly.
failure. But if you can, like we said earlier, fail, quickly realize it, make the change, learn from it, adapt or adopt or kind of iterate, and then move on. That's gonna be beneficial in the long run. It's that learning. I use the term, mistakes made, lessons learned, moving on. Right. That's my adage. Because we all make mistakes, we all have failures. Learn from it and kind of move on. I love it. So
and
there.
and the reason it's difficult to sometimes embrace failure is because you define it as failure, right? And when you define it
Right.
as failure, you're not necessarily defining it based on you feel that you have failed, but you usually define it as failure because you believe in eyes of the society, in eyes of others, you
that
have failed,
that you
right?
failed.
So you
Right.
associate that fear towards the fear of that loss of image, that loss in front of other people.
Right.
And when you learn how to completely have blinders toward that, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You should not be afraid of judgment from others. You should not be afraid of what others think about you. You truly are able to continue moving on your path without necessarily looking at anything as failure or loss, or anything lost, but you're looking at everything as an opportunity to learn, an
To learn.
opportunity to grow, and you constantly continue on that path.
I love it. Well, Kundan, we need to connect. Where can people connect with you? Where can they, where social media? Do you guys have social media accounts or?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is to connect with me directly. LinkedIn is the best way.
Okay.
Kundan Joshi, you can just add me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty generous on my ads.
Okay.
And App Lab, we are on, like, we have, like, you can go to our website, the
Right.
App Lab with 2bs.com. You can check us out on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are everywhere.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you again. This has been great. I think very eye-opening for people that are watching, because technology is, if it wasn't already here in the eyes of some, it's definitely arrived with a bang as a result of COVID. I mean, I believe it's already been here for, as you said, 2013, you're already, into apps. But I think for a lot of people, this is sort of, like you said, being sort of jammed down their throat. So great talk. Let's connect. Everyone else, thank you for watching. This is powered by backers, Justin Fox, Kundan Joshi. And in 3, 2, 1, we are out. All right. Thanks, Kundan. Thank you.
Thank you.
OMG,
Cheers.
baby,
Bye.
tell them.